Road, Maryland Street, Neville Road.
In 700 metres, arrive at Neville Road.
And here's Neville Road, which this view hasn't changed much in many years. That's where we'll be going later for Chris's birthday. And down here is where we used to come to dip the cattle back when the cows had to swim across the dip for ticks and fleas. No, ticks, sorry, I'm thinking of dogs. Okay, here is where we used to dip the cattle. Right here, we used to bring them all the cows, and they had to swim along that dip. Here we turn round to Buckley Road. So Buckley, of course, is after our family. To Uncle Peter's place at the end, which is next door to Auntie Lexi and Paul and Marky's place at the Pocket. Look over to Auntie Lexi's over there, and the usual driver driving into Uncle Peter and Auntie Lyn's house. Over here, and that's Mum's car there. So Mum's here. Okay. And look, they're sitting on the veranda.
Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Hello!
I'll just put that. Okay, good morning everyone, and today it's July the 18th, 2021, and we're here with my wonderful Uncle Peter again. He's looking at me like this.
And I'm here with my vivacious niece, Happy.
And actually we're in a very significant location today, because as you can probably recognise from the background and where the chairs that we're sitting in, we're in Uncle Peter's house in Buckley Rd, Jimboomba, and a house where Uncle Peter and Auntie Lyn and Marty and Carmel and Pat and Lizzie spent many, many years. And in fact, the extended family as well, we have many amazing memories of this place, and coming in and Auntie Lyn cooking, and some delicious smells would come out of the kitchen, and we'd often hang around long enough to sample Auntie Lyn's delicious cooking and her beautiful and welcoming smile when we turned up, and memories of tennis always occurring on the tennis court with everyone, and Uncle Peter giving us a few lessons, and memories of many great family gatherings here as well, that have probably, events on this very location have probably been going on in our family for over 100 years actually, various things, various activities on this location. So let's start. Today we're going to, we want to ask Uncle Peter a bit about our great-grandparents. That's Peter Gynther, Uncle Peter's grandfather, our great-grandfather, and Honora Gynther, who we affectionately called Nana. So where would you like to start, Uncle Peter? I'm talking about maybe about Peter Gynther, because really none of us met him. And
No, well, Peter Gynther was, I only knew him in his latter stages of his life. We didn't see that much of him really, because he lived at Milton in Brisbane, and we were starting to go there occasionally, maybe. As children we went there about maybe 6 times a year when we were kids. But he was a wiry man, really built. He wasn't fat at all, obese or anything like that, but he just had grey hair, and because he had grey hair, we used to think of him as an older person. But
I guess he was older by the time you were.
But he was, well, yes he was. Well, he passed away in 1955.
How old would he have been then?
He was 72.
Yeah, that's pretty young, isn't it?
He was pretty young, really. He was very unlucky, really, because he passed away from a clot after a fairly simple operation.
Oh, that is because he was relatively healthy other than that.
He was. He was a big shock when he passed away.
Wow. How old would you have been then when he...
Well, I was my last year, second last year of Nudgy. I was there, I was 17.
17. So you had the opportunity to know him fairly well, being 17.
Yes, I did. He was, we used to go there and stay there occasionally, especially during the tennis tournaments at Milton.
Oh, really?
We'd stay there every year in the May tournament, and I think there was one in August as well.
Did you go and watch the tournaments, or you played in them?
We played in the age tournaments, yes.
And he was keen tennis. Was he a keen tennis player too? Or?
He never saw us play.
He never saw you play?
No, he used to work, I guess. I don't know what he did. Yeah, he was the gardener railway, and he was always used to tell us about Bradman. He followed cricket, but when I stayed there, we used to during the Test matches from England, which was probably May. They would have been on every 4 years. That must have been, I think, 1948. I must have stayed there, I think, because it was Bradman that scored his big years.
Wow.
But I was only 10 then.
Wow, so he was a very keen cricketer, or did he play, or did he just like watching?
He just liked recounting stories. I think he may have gone to the Gabba to watch Bradman, but he always talked about the old cricketers like Bradman, Victor Trumpet and O'Reilly. Say what a great spinner O'Reilly was.
Oh, really? So he was probably more a cricket.
He was more a cricket tragic than a cricket
than a tennis
participator.
Okay. And did Nana come and watch you play tennis? Did she, or did anyone watch you, or you just walked there yourself?
Nana Gynther did.
She didn't watch you.
Kathy didn't. Nobody watched us. I don't know how we got down there.
Well, if you were staying there, you probably could have walked.
Yeah, we did walk, but
yeah.
We had to find our way ourselves to the desk. It was. I guess that was a bit of a education in independence.
Yeah, I guess, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
coming from the farm and going into the big smoke and.
That's right. That's
walking.
right.
You wonder, Granny, because Granny was such a lover of tennis, wasn't she? Like she watched everything on the TV.
Well, this is one thing which surprises me. Granny took us to the Bethesda tournaments and watched us, and then when I happened to luckily win the Bethesda under 12, she told the world, and she loved it. But she never came. They never got to Nudgy or anywhere else to see me play.
It might have been hard, maybe, and maybe cost Uncle Peter petrol and.
Well, it was hard because of the farm. Yes, it was hard.
And getting away from you milking cows, trying to get there.
That's right.
Maybe there was some. We can't ask her, but so back again to Peter Gynther. So his history, we've talked about before, but you want to explain a little bit about his history?
Yeah, all right. Well, this is the only thing I know about his history is that he was a teacher at Maclean. And Maclean was situated then at the what's the road that's called? It's a funny thing. It's near the Maclean Cemetery. And
is that the one that's there now that you went to as children, the Maclean School?
No, it's a different location.
Oh.
And when you go on that road, one road goes straight through, I think that one, and there's a fork in the road.
Is this where the Maclean School is now, you mean? You turn left
you turn left into, I think it is Greenbank Road, is it?
I can't remember.
I can't remember, no, I should sort this out.
So the Maclean School, when you went to school, was called the Maclean School, wasn't it?
Yes.
But it was a different location when he was teaching.
Well, yeah, that's right, it was shifted to there probably. It wasn't shifted, but they built another school.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It must have been shifted. He taught there for a few years. He must have been quite a young teacher. He was 72 at 1955. In 1910 he would have been. I know he was. In 1908 he was up in central Queensland, and that's why I should do some research on this. But it's in the book. It's in my.
Which we'll have to get out at
family history
doing
book,
some of this.
which I can get it.
Yeah.
It's just
That's right.
So Peter Gynther was born on the 8th of August 1881 in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. and he passed away on the 5th of March 1955 in Brisbane,
5th of
aged
March.
73.
Okay.
His name with Peter's mother is recorded as Hannah Mallerup. When I was a boarder at Nudgee College at the time, and he passed away at the Martyr Hospital actually.
Oh, right.
Yes. So he was a school teacher occupation from October 1901 to September 1906. And his source was the Register of Teachers' Appointments. That's probably that's found there.
So I was only a school teacher for 5 years, Uncle Peter.
Yeah. And visiting, well, that's out here. Oh, that's right. That's a registration. That's his right, exactly. On visiting the Queensland State Archives at Runcorn, I found proof that Peter Gynther was a school teacher at North Maclean. So this is the author here, who was Greg Stevenson, this author of this book. So he's only North Maclean from 901 to 903. It was also recorded that 905 years a school teacher and living in Jimboomba still, so I'm not sure what the disconnection there is.
So
His salary, his provisional teacher, was £90
per
Right.
what?
for the year.
What's the equivalent? I don't know. What's the equivalent of pounds? Yeah, must be.
I think it was, well, when I was at training college, we were training college teachers. We only got about £5 a week at 1955. So I think that'd be right. £90 for the year.
What would that be equivalent to in dollars?
Oh, yeah, $200.
Wow.
That's $2 for £1 equals $2.
Oh, right.
So that's $198 really.
Jeez. It's amazing, isn't it?
Now then, it says that he resigned as a headmaster, Peter Masters from North Maclean, but then it says he was on the registration roll, but he mightn't necessarily be teaching. I don't know. There's a bit of a
disparity there, not.
Yeah. Yes. So he might have. Now, and then it's got this. So then in the 1908 electoral roll, change of employment, he was recorded. This is the. Remember, we're having one of these next month in August in Queensland, Australia, when they have a survey of everybody in Australia.
Oh, that's right, the census, yeah.
The census. I think this is the only way they could get there. Oh, that was the electoral roll, but he was recorded as a railway guard. He was also recorded as a railway guard in the railways from 1908 to 1935.
Okay.
But he was a guard when I was at Milton in the 1950s, so unless he got a promotion, he didn't tell us. I don't know. So while employed on the railway, he was living at Mount Perry and in Brisbane.
Where's Mount Perry?
Well, here we go. I'll finish this story now.
Okay.
So the location of Mount Perry was 365 kilometres from northwest of Brisbane, 100 kilometres southwest of Bundaberg, 52 kilometres southwest of Gynther.
Well, never heard of it.
You heard of those places?
I've heard of all the other places, but just not Mount Perry.
Mount Perry is a small town in the North Burnett region in southeastern Queensland, Australia. Mount Perry is about 365 kilometres. Yeah, I just explained that northwest of Brisbane. Okay, so it is a historically significant town nestled in the valley near Mount Perry. Mount Perry, yes, no, well, yeah, okay, it's called Mount Perry, but it must be near a mountain, so there must be a town of Mount Perry near Mount Perry mountain. The area's highest mountain. Befitting its village-like status, there is just one general store, one petrol station, one post office, one primary school, 2 motels and 1 golf course.
Well, we'll have to do a trip.
Yeah, we'll have to go to a motel there.
We
What to do. It was connected by a railway line to Bundaberg from 1884 until 1960.
Okay. Okay.
Gold mining continues to be an important industry in the area, while the popular Mount Perry races remains a fixture on the calendars of many people in the area. And now, going on.
I'm just trying to work out when he was in Mount Perry though. Like, was he with Nana at that point or not?
It does go on to say somewhere here, so I'll have to find it.
Because he must have met Nana when he was at Maclean School.
Yes.
And then he went to Mount Perry.
According to the Queensland Railways employment records, Peter, that's Peter Gynther, worked at the South Eastern Division Traffic Branch as a porter at the age of 25 in 1907-1908. And then in 1909 he became a shunter and was earning a grand wage of 6 shillings and sixpence per day, graduating to 7 shillings per day. That's a huge rise, isn't it? In 1910 to 1911 at the age of 29 he was promoted to a wage of 7 shillings and sixpence a day.
Wow.
It's not too much, is it?
It's amazing. It shows
and
that.
he goes on to talk about his wages. So he's all right. Then we come down to Peter's change in Peter's life from being single to married. Peter married Honora Coonan, daughter of Jeremiah Coonan and Johanna Buckley, on the 19th of July 1911 in Queensland.
That's interesting because he was teaching at Maclean in the early 1900s.
Yeah, it seems a long time.
It does seem a long time.
Well, there's an explanation for that soon.
Okay.
Honora was born on the 5th of February 1884 in the Logan Bridge, Logan. It's funny. And died at age 93 in 1977. Their marriage published in the Brisbane Courier Mail. A pretty wedding was solemnised at St Mary's Church on the July the 10th. The bridegroom being Mr. Peter Gynther, eldest son of Mr. and Mrs. C. L. Gynther, Nunda. I didn't know he was the eldest son, actually.
I think we might have asked that on one of our previous. We couldn't work out.
And the bride, Miss Nellie Buckley of Evergreen, Jimboomba. Writes our Bethesda correspondent. The Rev. J. Enright officiated. The bride, who was given away by her brother-in-law, Mr. T. Moran, wore a pretty gown of ivory silk.
So who's Mr. T. Moran?
He was the husband of Sissy Moran, who was Nana Gynther's sister.
Right, okay, so it was a brother-in-law then.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's right, the future brother-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it goes on to describe it as she wore a pretty gown of ivory silk, striped neon, the bodies trimmed with silk, embossed lace, and yoke. Sounds like I'm so harnessing a draft horse.
It does, doesn't it?
I have to put the yoke on there.
Did they call her Nellie? It was Nellie her, even though Honora was her name.
Yeah, I think that was her family nickname.
So Nellie was what they probably most commonly called her.
Remember, she was a Coonan, but it was advertised as Buckley. That was
because Timothy Buckley and his wife reared her.
Well, the
maybe.
father wasn't alive, and I'm not quite. It doesn't mention the mother.
She'd gone off to work somewhere when her father died. She'd gone off to be a governess or something like that, Nana's mother. And so Timothy Buckley and his wife looked after Nana. So maybe she went by the name Buckley to make it easy back then.
Well, we got another story of Patrick's. Sissy sent it to Patrick, who sent it to me.
Okay.
And that story was that Johanna Buckley passed away in 1939. And left her. What do you call it? Left her.
Oh.
You know, when you leave,
Yeah.
when you leave your what you have in life to your descendants. Well, she left it to Sissy and Nana Gynther.
Which is natural, isn't it? 'Cause
and-
that was her 2 children.
Well, we didn't know where she was. That was Nana's mother in
Yes.
1939. Now we heard that she sort of. It's still a gap. But
Okay, so we don't really know.
really know the story of Nana Gynther's mother.
Right. Because we know she was reared by
And
Timothy.
the fact that she was advertised as Nellie Buckley meant that she wasn't around at that time, but she was very part of the of around in before 1939, because that's when she still had her daughters in mind. So
Yeah.
who knows?
Okay, so we need to try and fill in that gap somewhere, but...
Yeah, that's true. So
Okay.
it's strange.
Because what year did you say Nana was married?
She was married in 1911.
So you wonder if she was at the wedding then, her mother.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't say.
Right.
So it talks about Nana Gynther. And Mr. J. Moore acted as best man. I'm not sure who Mr. J. Moore was at that stage.
Okay. It would be a relation, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The bridegroom's gift to the bride, that's Peter Gynther's gift, was a massive gold muff chain.
Oh, well, gee.
And the bride's gift to the bridegroom was a pair of gold sleeve links.
Like cufflinks, I guess.
I guess so.
I was going to say a few chook eggs or something.
And subsequently, Mr. and Mrs. Gynther left by the evening train en route to Sydney, with a honeymoon being spent.
Wow. Okay, so you wonder what happened in between him working at the school and then, what was the years he was at Mount Parry again? You just wonder where...
Yeah, sorry. So that what I just read out was an extract from the Brisbane newspaper on the 16th of August 1911. But the next day, the actual wedding was held on July the 10th, 1911.
Right.
And that's just one day before Marty's birthday, actually. So that was 110 years ago this year.
The wedding.
And this month was 110 years
Oh,
ago.
there you go. Well, it's the appropriate time to be talking about them, isn't it?
Very appropriate.
Yeah. So they would have been married in winter. So
Exactly.
and would have been freezing in Bedesert.
Now it says the newspaper correspondent got the bride's surname incorrect. It should have been Coon, not Buckley.
Oh,
Buckley was the maiden name of the bride's mother.
there you go. That's interesting.
Yes, so the bride's mother before she married was Johanna Buckley. To avoid loss of, he might have got a bit of time, but he might have got into trouble here. He was advised to be careful to avoid loss of what's that say there? He might have gotten into trouble of school time, to avoid loss of school time.
Also be careful to avoid loss of school time. So this is Peter
He might
Gynther's
have been looking at other
registration as a teacher.
But so he was there 1901 to at least 03, and that's somebody signed that.
His teacher registration. So when he was possibly at Jimboomba at McLean.
North McLean. Yeah, right.
Let's.
Here we go.
Oh wow! So we're just looking at Peter Gynther's registration as a teacher.
Yeah, that's right, Peter.
So
Well,
this might be. I wonder what this is.
yeah, it didn't.
This is all the names of teachers, and it's got numbers on the side. Yeah, I don't know, Uncle Peter. It might say somewhere what it is.
Up the back.
Teachers'
Let's
registrations,
have a
is
look at the back of it. Here we go. Sorry. Peter Gynther, teacher, register Queensland, film. Yeah, it's all teachers apparently. October 1901 to September 1906. But it doesn't say Queensland State Archives, Volume 2. So it looks as though it'll be all teachers.